Okay, I'm back, and better than ever. Have to say as well, while we're in the safety car, I may as well do this now. Just gonna shout out fellow. I'm in a college drama group, and someone from the drama group today auditioned for. I think it was Matilda, if I'm not mistaken. And they said it went well. So we wish them luck and congratulations on an audition. And we hope that they get the part. Obviously, me not being the most theatrical kid in the world, but I don't really do many shows. I mean, the only shows I've really done are like school plays. So yeah, but yeah, we wish them well. Well, I wish them well, and yeah. Also, ALB in the chat saying good luck to them as well. As we head through 200R behind the safety car, we have Timmen and the second of the Benettons of Lewis trying to catch up this massive lag. And when I see lag, I think of reliability issues, because yes, reliability issues in F1, they're normally engine failures, but in sim racing you don't get an engine failure, you get disconnection, and instead of seeing fire you see teleporting. And when I see teleporting, that is a reliability issue to me, because you're not being able to rely on your internet, are you? That's the massive reliability issue there. That lag spike thing may as well just be smoke, because that is very unreliable science. The safety car in this lab, we have this beautiful camera angle that I'm just going to take the graphics off for a quick second and have a look at. And now as there's touching with the Williams there and the Ferrari, we get back to green flag running, and the Jordan side by side with the Benetton over the line as Michael Schumacher's first two teams roar into turn one, and James holds the lead. No, he doesn't. He goes wide with the understeer of not having a front wing, and that's a huge shunt. Huge shunt. Lewis is out. Massive crash for Lewis. We saw one of the Benettons losing the lead. We've seen another Benetton lose his entire wheel. Let's just see the aftermath of it there. But how was that not a safety car? I will never know. But the Brawn here looking to challenge the Ferrari. They both too didn't repair their wing, or have just lost it now after that carnage with the Benetton. As meanwhile, speaking of a Benetton, the only Benetton in this race now, as the Jordan locks up, the Benetton locks up, the Ferrari locks up, the Brawn doesn't lock up, that smashes into the Ferrari and spins. Devons having a spin, and is he beached? No, he's not. He's waiting for the Williams. Nice outcut. There's wide as well for the Mercedes. Lap 22 being a lap for drama for everyone, it looks like. I'm gonna say bar Matty, but if he has drama now, this will be very ironic. As the Williams there as well, ahead of the Brawn, as there's a bit of a wide moment there through 200R for the Mercedes. You head into the Casio triangle. Out of that corner now, down over the line. DRS is re-enabled. The Ferrari into the pits. Let's see if the Brawn goes in the pits. He laps the Williams. There's another penalty for the Ferrari for speeding in the pit lane. His third penalty of the race so far. Into the pits for Devons. Not beating his race so far. He went from battling for the lead to now cruising down the pits with a broken front wing. We have James struggling with his retrospective broken front wing. We have the Jordan and Matty, who has an absolute open door to score massive in the opening stage of this race, or the opening stage of this championship. As the land of the rising sun sees the re-emergence of Jordan, a team very revered in F1, founded and ran by voluntary drummer Eddie Jordan, a well-known businessman of his time before he opened Jordan. Very persuasive man. He knew how to work people with words. He knew how to turn someone who may be ignorant to something, and he knew how to talk them into something. But he's a very persuasive man, was Eddie Jordan, and but he also had a lot of charisma and compassion for what he loved. He loved cars, he loved business, he put them together, and he's made his mark on the sport in a nice, bright, yellow way. And his legacy goes on, not just as Aston Martin in real life, but now as this new form of Jordan in Retro Racing League, with the driver Matty TCL at the helm. We have the Benetton of James coming out the pits. Is he going to come out ahead of the traffic? There's the Williams there. The Williams of DXR. If Murray Walker was here, he'd be calling him a mobile chicane. As DXRS doesn't lap himself over Lewis, who DNF'd a lap ago. As yeah, the Williams kind of representing Luca Badoa in a way. Kind of. That's yeah, it's heading out the pits with Tim N in the Mercedes. The Braun going over the hill. We have the Ferrari back behind the Benetton and back behind the Williams, should I say, and he's lost his wing again. That Williams is tearing people's front wings off like tear-off strips from his visor. As Lewis leaves the session, there's nearly a crash there for the Mercedes of Tim N, and there is a spin for the Mercedes driver at the anti-bank corner. He's gone over the anti-smooth surface of the grass. And although this sport doesn't involve round things, it doesn't involve grass. He's not playing football, is he? Is over the AstroTurf there. It's Matty over a pit stop ahead of James at the moment. I reckon he could pit and come out ahead of James. He's nearly 35 seconds ahead of James so far in the Benetton. The number 6 car. In second place as Devons in the Braun takes the fastest lap. Ross Braun, he's won championships for both teams in 3rd and 4th, for Ferrari and for Braun. And obviously Ross, he was almost like the Adrian Newey of the time, and the fact that he's on the FIA now kind of is ironic, because he would always be the one that would find loopholes that the FIA couldn't think of, like the double diffuser, like having a 4-stop strategy in Manicore, like other things that would just, like him, Jean Todt and Michael Schumacher, they were what Max Verstappen, Christian Horner and Adrian Newey were of nowadays, of 2023. And obviously at this track in the year 2000, Michael Schumacher ended up winning the championship for Ferrari for his first time, or for his 3rd time, and for Ferrari's Ferrari's 11th time, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it was the first time since, I think I've got it right, it was the first time since 1987 with Jody Scheckter that Ferrari won the championship before Michael Schumacher won it. So when Schumacher won it, it was the first time since then that he won it. Speaking of Ferrari, there's a battle here between the Braun and the Ferrari. Speaking of Ross Braun and Ferrari, and here they are battling so many years later, 25 years on from Ross Braun's first Ferrari championship, and his team are now battling with and wide to the Braun over the gravel. Bumpy ride for Devons, bumping and bouncing over the curb, and that is not a smooth ride at all. And the frustration builds in Devon, as I don't know if he's Devon because he's from Devon, in the southwest of England, but maybe he needs a pasty, who knows. Terrible one. But yeah, we head through into Spoon Corner, and we're here with the Jordan. We're here also with the Benetton as well. James, we should talk a bit about Benetton, shouldn't we? The Benetton, the number, is that number 6 of James in the Benetton? It is. As there's a yellow flag, Tim Heads in the Mercedes wide again, and he's causing a bit of a distraction here for the Jordan. He needs to get out of the way quickly. Tim N, he's on the grass, he's wide. He's made contact nearly with the leader. And oh, there's contact through 200R. That could have been huge. I know from experience, cars have flipped there on this game in another league called Elite Racing League. When I raced in that one. But yeah, wow, making contact at 200R with the leader when you're down the order. I don't know if he's learned from Esteban Ocon in the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix, but wow. Heading over the line then for the Jordan, start lap 28 of 53. Oh yeah, as I was saying about Benetton, obviously won 2 championships in F1 in 1994, 1995. Came into the sport back, obviously coming from Renault, or no, coming from Tolman, should I say. Turned themselves into Benetton, which was a clothing company at the time, and I think they turned themselves into Tolman in 1990. I want to say 1991, but I could be wrong. 1990, 99, 1991. I think it was 1991. Oh no, it had to have been 1991 because Benetton were around to snag Michael Schumacher. I think it was 1989, wasn't it? I think it was. It was 1989. Because it couldn't have been 87 or 88, because that's when. So 87 was when Senna debuted there. But Tolman was still hanging around, weren't they? So yeah. And obviously they debuted then. We have the Williams back with the Jordan. Yeah, Benetton. They had good success. Obviously they're under the Alpine name now after many name changes involving Renault, Lotus, Renault, was it Alpine now, and other names that I'm trying to think of. But yeah, no, they ran for a good time, but they ended their campaign in 2001 after undelivering on the promise and not having any sponsors. As yeah, speaking of 2009, we have the 2009 champion here, the Brawn of Devons, heading through 200R. He has battled like an animal all race, and the fact that he's only 4th at the moment is an absolute tragedy. Yeah, speaking of Ross Brawn, I was speaking about him earlier, wasn't I, during the race when I was speaking about Ferrari and Ross Brawn. But let's talk more about Brawn as a team. Obviously, there was a documentary on it a couple of years ago with is it Keanu Reeves, and obviously they bought out Honda for £1, and going off wide there in the gravel there is the Brawn. Yeah, we have obviously Brawn. They bought out Honda from back from 2008. It's, between, I think they went from BAR to Honda, and then obviously in 2008 they ran out of money, pulled out of F1, and then the team itself was left unnamed, untouched, ready to get put into bankruptcy. And Ross Brawn settled a deal for £1. Bought the whole team, thinking of a name for it. It wasn't actually Ross Brawn who came up with the name. It was actual group decision on what the name was. so he didn't really know what name to call it. As you got Tim and battling on a lapping the Williams. So yeah. But yeah, nowadays, I mean, if Ross Brawn was to buy the team for something of £1 now, £1 back in 2009 is probably, I don't know, it's probably like £3.75 in the current currency, isn't it? That's yeah, it's mental. Yes, obviously they were highly competitive from the start, although they were very inconsistent by the end, as their R&D development, their funding, very much limited them. So although they came up with the W diffuser, they came out the blocks firing, similar to Aston Martin in 2024 and 2023 as well. You know, came out the blocks firing with a great car, but as everyone else developed and learned of the car's weaknesses and tried to capitalise on the car's strengths and also work on the car's weaknesses, Brawn didn't really have the resources to do that, because obviously if he bought the team for £1, he's it's not got the fact that Mercedes took over kind of saved the team from bankruptcy again, pretty much. Yeah, so we see them now as Mercedes, and now I guess obviously Brawn, it was kind of Brawn and Mercedes, they're kind of the ashes of Tyrrell, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it? It was Tyrrell, and then it got bought out into BAR through some stages, and then went to BAR, then went to Honda, then went to Brawn, then is now the Brackley based Mercedes team, which is the car that Tim Mann is meant to be representing here. There's a Mercedes team, obviously they won championships before taking over Brawn back in the 50s with One Man One Fangio, and they were actually the first team to use streamliner aerodynamics in F1 before it was outlawed. But Mercedes, Vanwell, and there was another team that used streamliners as well. I think it was Porsche who raced some of their sports cars in F1 back in the 50s. There's obviously F1 back in the 50s. It was run to similar regulations as club level motorsport, so it wasn't really taken seriously. As I was nearly contact there with James in the Benetton and the Mercedes, that could have been an issue. Yeah, the Mercedes, obviously the what was I talking about? What was I talking about? Never mind. I'll remember it a bit. But as we head through the Casino Triangle, the Japanese Grand Prix has been held at many circuits over the years. It's been held obviously primarily at Suzuka since the late 80s, early 90s. It's been a very well-known finale for that time as well. But obviously we've had Fuji appear on the calendar 4 times in the mid 1980s and in the kind of mid-late 2000s with Lewis Hamilton, who won in 2008, Fernando Alonso, not Rennie Arnoux, it was the other one, wasn't it? Who was the other Renault driver? Because there was one, oh no, it was Rennie Arnoux, wasn't it? It was Rennie Arnoux who won there. And I think maybe Jacques Villeneuve, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were the winners of the Fuji Grand Prix at Japan. I think there was another circuit as well that I've forgotten how to pronounce it. And I hope that kind of alternated with F1 for a couple of years. But yeah, as we head out Spoon Curve with the Mercedes, we're going to cut to the Williams. Let's talk a bit about Williams then. Williams, massive name in F1, obviously originated as a very small team called Frank Williams Racing, which didn't really work out. Obviously Frank Williams wasn't going to give up that easily, so he just took the Frank out, made a new team called Williams, and to this day it's been on the F1 grid as a fixture, winning titles with Nelson Piquet, No, not Nelson Piquet, Nigel Mansell. Nelson Piquet did drive for them, but I don't think he won a title with them. I think he won all the titles with Brabham back in the early 80s. Early 70s maybe. But yeah, the Williams, so they won championships with Nigel Mansell. They had a very strong run in the early 90s. They had a good run in the early 2000s as well with one Pablo Montoya. They won championships as well with Damon Hill at this very track. And they won it at Jerez with Jacques Villeneuve as well. After dropping Damon Hill, the year after, Hill clinched the title for them. Meaning that Damon Hill had to go to the Arrows team, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Damon Hill had to go to the Arrows team, and he almost won the Hungarian Grand Prix ahead of his old teammate of Jacques Villeneuve, but obviously he ran out of reliability towards the last lap. He got passed on the exit of turn 3 by Jacques Villeneuve, who had to dip 2 wheels in the grass to get by him. As I think Damon Hill cruised home to get 3rd that day. So, but yeah, the Williams, they've been struggling as of late, although they had a really good run in the mid-2010s with Felipe Massa and Valtteri Bottas, and he started the turbo hybrid era 2014, 2015, very strong for them as well. Obviously winning or getting pole position in Austria with Felipe Massa, Massa's last pole position in F1. And Massa in Japan. Whenever I think of Massa in Japan, I always think of Massa and Kubica at Fuji back in 2008, because that battle is very similar to the one that we just saw this guy and Devons do earlier in the race, but obviously in wet conditions in that case. So Lewis, although he's DNF'd, he's still in the Twitch chat watching the race. Good to see him still tuning in to this 53 lap race of the Suzuka circuit. All drivers separated by over 20 seconds now. Lap 35 or 53 with the Jordan and Matty. As we head through first curve. As meanwhile, as we're speaking, the Intercontinental GT Challenge is at Japan for the 1,000 kilometers of Suzuka, and Nissan Nissan with their GTR GT3 have returned to GT racing for the first time since 2019. And the European Le Mans Series returned to Silverstone for the first time since 2019 as well. And it's also the first time that the Michelin Le Mans Cup and the Ligier European Cup race at Le Mans at Silverstone as well. So that'll be interesting. As we have the Williams and the Jordan nearly contact, but just about surviving this round with the Williams. So the next one to lap the Williams would be the Benetton, as he'd have to deal with the traffic. As heading through 130R then, we've seen many things at 130R, haven't we? We've seen Fernando Alonso and Michael Schumacher battling there. There was a huge shunt who had a similar snap to what James had earlier in the race for Lucas de Grassi, who had a huge shunt warming up for the race back in 2011. And there was also a big shunt for one of the Toyota cars back in 2000 and was it 5? Was it 2004, 2005? Warming up for the race. I think it could have been Jarno Trulli who had an incident there. As the Jordan comes out of anti-bank corner over the Dunlop curve, there's a yellow flag, and it is the Benetton of James who goes off on the exit of the Casio Triangle, and he's backwards. And just as ALB in chat asks for someone to spin out, James follows his orders. Wow, very obedient, but there by James. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but yeah, great stuff there by James, although he's not lost too much time, as the next car behind him is 30 seconds away and has a 13-second penalty. That will probably get taken off, who knows. As oh yeah, Torlin in chat So ALB is tournament. As wow. Okay, nice one, Torland. Anyway, we have. What else do we have to talk about then this weekend? I think we have the V8 Supercar Series as well this weekend. I'm not too sure what track they're at the moment. As out for Tim Enns, who's gone into the wall at the Dunlop curve. If we see from the Williams, we might be able to see him in the background. He's gone off at the Dunlop curve the second time. He's DNF'd at that that corner. This today. He crashed there in qualifying and DNF, and he's crashed there in the race and DNF and caused a safety car. As Fig saying he's gonna cry. That's a shame. I'd cry as well if I was in his situation, but luckily I'm not. I'm just sat here watching him and commenting on it. Anyway, as a Fig saying he's not a fan of the Japanese track. Would he rather win at Fuji? Who knows? As Matt looks like he's gonna win, but he has James pitting for fresh tyres. He just went over the curb there. I got confused there. He has James pitting for fresh tyres. He has Phoenix pitting for fresh tyres. He has Devons. If Devons catches up to the Jordan, who is over a minute ahead of him at the moment, if Devons can catch up to him though, that will be great for the end of the race, as their battling early stages was absolutely hectic. Absolutely hectic, as I have to be honest, I'd say 53 laps is maybe a bit too long. It may have been better to do maybe about half the race distance, but opinion's an opinion. Into the pits, out the pits for Devons. I guess not, but yeah, no. Well, it's been a chill race so far. It was a hectic start, and then as we've got into the kind of mid-section, people have kind of faded off into their own race until the Mercedes of Tim Enns went off and crashed at the corner that we're looking at now with the Brawn and the Jordan. So that means the Brawn and the Jordan, although the Jordan is ahead by a lap, they are still together on track, and would they still battle like hell? They probably would do. As, oh my god. A bit tired there as something's happened to Devons while I was yawning. I think he might have just spun there. I'm going to check the stream just to confirm, because the stream is a bit delayed compared to what I'm seeing in real life. There's a bit of sportsmanship there between Lewis and Fig. Fig will always be in Tim Enns, if I'm not mistaken. Just gonna have a look at the stream and see what happened to the Brawl. Oh, he just turned onto the grass himself. Strange. Looked like he was letting the Williams go. Interesting. So the Williams now ahead of the Brawl. As yeah, there was chaos at that first corner, wasn't there? It's the Ferrari and the Benetton both spun. James and I think it was James and Phoenix, wasn't it? Both pirouetting at the start in dramatic fashion, and then the other Benetton and Missile fell victim to the first cab and had a huge shunt as well. As I'm gonna just have a wee break a minute. I'll be back in a sec.